Anyway, guys, here are our keychain gnomes. They're little tiny gnomes, and I did the smaller version because I did have somebody request to see how these are done. So if you want to see the tutorial, just give me a minute and we'll get on into it. So the first thing I did is I took a measuring tape. I laid it up where the centimeter would be attached at 1 to make sure it was nice and straight and even. And then I took these clips. Now, where did I get these clips? This is really a very funny. These are actually clips off the backs of buttons. They're held onto their cardboard pieces by these little plastic clips. I just use that to actually come on in and slide that onto my cardboard tube. Now this tube is a empty foil roll. So, I mean, you use what you have. And that's what I did here. Now, if you don't have an empty foil roll, I have used in the past some of the Chanel wire pipe cleaners, anything like that. My husband has some pipe cleaners that would work wonderful for this. And you just use it and you wrap it together to the size you want. And that's just about perfect for what I had used. This was on my template. And it really didn't matter because it was however big my tube was. Now here you can see I have slits across there. And in order to find those measurements, I took my Dremel. I put my cutting blade on there. It's unplugged, guys. And I went and at every centimeter hit, I just did a tip of my Dremel at that mark, not hitting my tape measure, but just at that mark, making that notch. And then I would take this and rotate it again, making sure I'm lined up properly to those marks. Is after I got those all little notches cut out of them. And you can use a type of adhesive to hold that down if you like. It doesn't have to be those little clips. That's just what I had on hand. Then once I got my notches in there, I took my Dremel and I just lined up that notch and just rolled it. Came to the other side, lined up that notch and rolled it, and then came on up. And I did this just on one side. And then I moved on over and I continued to match those notches that I had put in there, so that you see once you come around, you line right up to that next notch. And so that's how I made my little real heavy duty cardboard rings. So next step. So the next thing I did is I have this cream colored yarn that have specks of dark and light brown in it. And it's just little pieces that is kind of woven through as it goes. Almost like it was just remnants of something else left behind. I took my roll and I wrapped it 20 times. Actually, that took 25 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did that 25 times. Now I have these 25 pieces of yarn because once that was on there, I came down and I cut straight across. So let me show you. So I'm making sure my yarn is ending with my other yarn. I'm going to come in and snip it. And then what I do is you can either pull this off or cut it while it's on your phone. Because this is a small piece, I'm going to go ahead and pull it off. Now I'm just going to take my scissors, put it in that loop. So here's my roll, my ring of yarn, put it on in and cut it. And then I did that 25 times, so that gives me 25 pieces of yarn. take one strand of your yarn, meet the ends up, grab your center. You're going to take your ring, you're going to stick that center piece of the yarn up through the ring, like that, and then you're going to take the two pieces that are looped or together and then pull, and then you push that nice and tightly together. So again, yarn, match your ends up, find the center, take that center loop, stick it through the cardboard ring, stick your finger through the loop and pull those two pieces of yarn through that loop and pull. And then I took this and I just made sure they were nice and tight up against each other. So again, loop, middle, through the cardboard, pull the yarn, and pull nice and snug, nice and tight. And there you have it. You just continue all the way around your ring, and this is what you're coming up with. So right here I have some of those rings done. They're nice and tight. As you can see, this is 25 pieces of that yarn. So when you put it out, it goes all the way around your ring, all the way around. You have no cardboard showing on your ring at all. No cardboard showing on your ring. It's all the way around. Nice and snug, nice and tight. And then once I have all that yarn wrapped around these rings, look how tight that is, how nice and snug. The next thing I did, so the ring yarn side in my hand, I'm going to take the ring and I'm just going to pull it up. So easy breezy. Okay, ring in my hand, take the ring and pull it up. Just like that. And that is going to be your beard. Now see, that's pretty simple. All the way down. Take your ring, hand around all your yarn pieces, turn it up. There's your beard. Now if I want to make this stay where it's at, I can put a rubber band around it. This one I actually tacked it with some glue. Just used some hot glue, and I came up behind it and I rolled some glue around there. So I just, once you have all your yarn down, grab your yarn, rotate it up. I came right in there and put some hot glue right around there, and that's what that is. And that will tack that down and it's ready for you. Or you can use one of those rubber bands that we used for the hat. And if you want to do this, just once again, all your yarn down, grab it, rotate it up, just kind of pull it down, and then I'm just going to take this piece and hold it into place right there. I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on it. I just want it looped around so I know right where I want it when I get the hat ready. So that's going to be my front. Nice and fluffy, and this is my back. So there's that. All right, let's get on with our next step. Okay, so the hat. I have some of the thinner rings that we used for here, and I wanted something a little thicker to build that rim. So what I did, instead of using the same rings that I used for the beard, I have these extra pieces that I've cut off a paper towel roll. Look at the difference in the size of these things. Big difference. So what I'm going to show you is how I made this paper towel ring square into this, which is smaller and will fit nicely as a hat onto the smaller beard rings. I have several here already for our hats. And then I have a few here that I'm going to show you how to make these. So what I've done is I've taken one of my rings and I've folded it down. Taken one of the larger rings and folded it down. And you can see here just how much bigger that is. What I did is I just took that and I folded it right over the back. So now I have my original ring and I have a new one that's just folded. So at this point you can take your adhesive, make sure you open, and on the inside you place some adhesive too, right to those crease marks where you folded. And then you're going to close that back up and push that back on down, lining your edges up and squeezing that and holding that for a moment while that art glitter glue dries. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another one. So you have your big one and you have a small one. And you're going to take a small one, fold it in half, take your larger one, fold it in half. And these are about 1/4 of an inch thick. You just cut them at 1/4 inch and you should be fine. So I'm going to line that small one up against that big one. Find the back side of it and fold it on down over. Once that's folded over, give it a good pinch, gives you some creases. I'm going to add some of that art glitter glue to the inside, right up to those creases, and the outside, crease to crease. Inside, outside, take it, you fold it, both of those pieces come together. No oozing glue. If you did, it doesn't matter, you can wipe it away. Pinch it on down. And that's how you make the little bases for our hats. Measure, fold, glue. So I have a bunch of little pieces already folded and glued, and it doesn't matter that they're not perfectly circle, because you know when we wrap with our hat yarn, it tends to get all out of place anyway, and then it squeezes closed to get over our beard. So let's go ahead and get a few little hats made. So this is some yarn from the Dollar Tree, and just like you did for your beards, I'm using my phone again. Since these are the same diameter, I'm going to go ahead and do 25 of my yarn. So I'm going to hold it and I'm going to wrap it. Cut my yarn off. Because this is so thick, I'm going to go ahead and hold it and bring it around. I'm going to use my scissors to go right on under and cut that. And now I have enough yarn for my hat. And I'll be back. Moving on to the hats, I went ahead and I have all those circles created there. Of course, I have my strips of yarn, and so I'm just going to take the strips, and just like the beards, I'm going to take them and I'm going to fold them in half and loop them on through and pull nice and tight, making sure they're nice and even on those strands. So even, loop through, pull the two strips through and pull it tight. And then I try to go ahead and just butt those pieces up together and make sure they're pulled nice and snug. So as you're doing that, you end up at this. I'm going to go ahead and put these last couple on here, nice and tight. And I have one set aside so I can help tie the hat. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen those up a little bit so that it's covered all the way around. There we have makings of our hat. Looks just like what we did when we did our beards. But instead of pulling it down, we are going to now take the yarn and push it on through. Now I've done these on another Santa Gnome video on my Christmas in July series, but these are much smaller. Sometimes smaller can be more tedious, trying to get everything in properly and right where you want it to be. Poke it on through. Make sure all those little pieces kind of pull up so you don't have any funky looking hat bottom there. And then we're going to take our little band again, and we're going to now pull our yarn strings, the ends, and we're going to pull them right on up and take this band, and we're just going to wrap it right around that cute little hat. Okay, so now I'm going to take this extra piece of yarn, and I'm going to tie it around that rubber band so that it is not easily seen. And I'm going to do it again on the other side just for good measure. Just want it nice and tight. And now we're going to trim off the extra on the top of that. I'm going to just kind of put my thumb and forefinger right around the top of that. I'm going to give it a good trim. And now I'm going to just fluff that out a little bit. And I'm going to come right on in and trim right around that outside edge. And then give that top of that hat a little bit of a fluff. Look at there. All right, so there's the hat. Now before I hook this together, I need to get the keychain ready. So for the keychain part, what you need to do is I have a keychain. I got these, several of them here. And then I have some chain, some jump rings. Let me show you how to do this. I'm going to get a jump ring. Because these are little, I don't want a huge jump ring, but I want one that's, you know, strong enough. And the chain does not have to be very long. And then I have a piece of some cotton twine here. And let me show you why I'm going to do this. First thing I'm going to do is take my beard. And I'm going to open a little piece at the top here. And right there, I'm going to loop this chain right on through. So it is now looped around that heavy-duty cardboard that we created for our beards. What I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to take my little pliers, my little needle nose, and I'm going to loop it through the chain and then through the bottom piece and then the middle piece of the chain to loop those together. Take some other flat pliers here, and I'm going to grab it and close it. I'm just going to come in with my flat pliers here, and I'm just going to squeeze the top of that jump ring nice and tight. I just want to make sure that it's not going to come off of there, because this is a keychain, and so we want to make sure that as we're doing this, we're not going to have any issues with it pulling with your keys. Now, you need to get this up through your hat. Not the easiest task. Now I do this because I want to trim it nicely before I put my chain in. It's more difficult to do after your chain. So now what I do is I'm going to go ahead and just take that cotton yarn, cotton thread. I'm going to put it through a link on the chain. And then I have a great big yarn needle here. I'm going to put it through there. And then we're going to loop the other piece through there as well. So now we have these two pieces of yarn, cotton, something that's going to be strong enough to pull this through. And I'm going to bring that needle up, right on up through the middle of that hat. Pull it on up, and that chain is going to come right on out with it. Pull that yarn. I'm going to push that little bearded circle right on up. So you're going to squeeze it just a bit. You see how that turned into an oval? And you're going to pull that down as that chain gets pulled up and through. So now I'm going to take that out of there and get a jump ring. And now we're going to take the second jump ring, weave it through the chain coming out the hat, and then through the chain link on the bottom of the keychain. Take our pliers, pull it closed. I'm just take these flat ones here and just make sure that that's nice and flat. And there we have it. So now take that rubber band right on off that beard, and we are going to get some glue and get that glued down, trim it up, and get our nose on it. Okay, the glue gun is nice and hot, ready to be used. And I'm just going to come on in here and load some up behind that hat. Get my little nose. Load some up on the front of that hat. And then we are going to go ahead and put our little nose right in the center there. Hi, somebody's here to see me. Okay, little nose right on in there, and look at that. Just give it a squeeze, and then we're going to go ahead and get that trimmed up and decorated. All right, guys, that is all. Thank you so much for joining us today. You know that I just am so appreciative of you guys taking time out of your day to watch my videos, and little Grayson joining me here today at the last part of it. Yeah. So if you do like what you see and you'd like to know when I'm doing more videos, first of all, hit that subscribe button. Second, hit that bell notification, and YouTube should notify you when I'm uploading a new video. As always, guys, stay safe, God bless, and bye for now. Say bye-bye.